So the most common problem I see with these under-counter Manitowoc ice machines is the sensor right here is signaling a harvest cycle too early. So then you'll just get 3 consecutive freeze cycles that are so short that the system never actually accumulates enough ice to open and close this switch momentarily, which will then cause the machine to lock out on long harvest. And then if it gets open and stays open for more than a certain number of seconds, it'll keep the machine from starting another freeze cycle. You can see we kind of have some water movement across here. If you look at the board, there's a green LED and a red LED. The red LED should only light up once there's enough water contacting the probe to cycle a harvest cycle. So if I touch from the probe to the thing there, you can see that LED comes on. When I remove my finger, it shuts off. On, off. But earlier it was showing red even without me touching across it, so I know that this whole thing needs to be cleaned and descaled so that it's not sensing just through the water some other way. So we're gonna pull it apart, clean it, make sure that it's all good to go that way, and then it probably will work good again. My go-to method is to soak this in a cup of vinegar while I clean all the other components, which I've already done, and now I can basically start reassembling. And then we'll use this same cup of vinegar to kind of rinse everything down once, kills off the bacteria, gets rid of some of the lime scale, and then we'll flush it out with fresh water. You don't want to leave it sit on the evaporator for a long time, but briefly is not really a problem. And then I like using a plastic bristle brush to clean all the plastic stuff because you don't want to scrape it up. And then I use a wire brush to clean the actual probe. So it's looking pretty good. There's still some scale up in there that we should try to clean off though. Once everything is put back together and rinsed, you can let it try making ice. And we're still getting kind of an odd drip pattern off of here, but I'm not really sure why we're getting a little splash up there. You want to make sure that all these little holes are open up, dumping consistently over the evaporator. So what I've done now is carefully taken the probe off, and I used a paper towel to wipe off all the surfaces on and around the sensor and up here around the base. Because if the current is getting from this probe back like through the top of this thing, you'll end up with it sensing when it shouldn't. I got rid of it. We're starting to get some intermittent water contact. We're getting close to. So the water flow, not the ice contact, contacts the ice thickness probe. After approximately 10 seconds of continual water contact, the harvest sequence is initiated. The ice machine cannot initiate a harvest sequence until a 6-minute freeze lock has been surpassed. So once we get 10 seconds of that light on, it'll switch, which we're getting really close to. These cubes are looking a little big. We could maybe loosen the probe slightly, but alright. Just cycled into harvest, so it shuts off the fan. It starts running the hot gas up through the evaporator. And then, since it shut off the pump, the water automatically siphons out of this reservoir because the volume of water that had filled up this tube is too big for this reservoir. So as it fills up the reservoir, it overflows in that white cap back there and siphons down out to keep all the water fresh in the unit there. And here comes the sheet. Here it comes. So now it's going to momentarily open and close that switch once the sheet actually drops. And now we'll go back to a freeze cycle. Sort of maybe a little thick. The bridge thickness I think is supposed to be between an 1/8 and a 1/16, and it looks like we've got like quarter some places, so we might loosen this screw just a tiny bit in order to make the ice a little bit thinner.